Hi everybody, we are going to try to create a data set on numbers and then graph that data set with a linear regression. The first time is going to be the most difficult one. Once you get used to it, honestly, it's only going to take you a few seconds to do. The spreadsheet's going to do all the heavy lifting for you once you get used to how to do it. So open up your numbers and then click here in the middle where it says New Spreadsheet. And if you click on that, you should have a screen that looks like this. And I'm sure those gray bars up at the top will do something for you. I've always found them to be kind of annoying. So all I'm going to do is click anywhere over here. Doesn't really matter where in the white section. And I'm going to start putting in my data. Now my data from this thing here is this data that is there. So I'm going to put that data in. You can follow along and put in your data. So double tap where it says in any one of those cells there, and then go ahead and start putting in your information. So I'm going to go ahead and put in temperature in Kelvin, and then over here I'm going to put in pressure of a gas, and then I'm going to put that in millimeters of mercury, like so. And then I'm going to start putting my numbers in. You can obviously use the keyboard as it is, but if you do switch to that little dealy bop there, instead of the letters there, it might make it a little easier to put the numbers in. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in: 100, 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000. Like so. And then I'm going to go up here, and my pressure is 40 and 82 and 156 and 249 and 312 and then 404, like so. You should now have a set of numbers that look like this. When you're done, again, you should have something that looks like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tell the program to graph it for us. So I like to start in the upper left-hand corner and then drag it all the way over so that everything is highlighted. Then, as the instructions show, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the graph icon, which is the one up at the top that looks like the little pie graph up there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the little pie graph up there. Now, the graph that you want is not shown. You're going to have to scroll down. And once you scroll down, you're looking for the bottom left one, which is the one with all the little pluses in there for a scatter plot. You're going to hit that guy. And now you have something that looks just like this. Now, all we're going to have to do is give it labels, give it a title, and then tell it to do our equation for us. So while we're highlighted here, I'm going to go up to the paintbrush up in the upper right-hand corner. See the little paintbrush up there? And that is going to be my formatting situation. So I'm going to click on that. And then over on the right-hand side where it says title, I'm just going to click that guy there on, like so. Then I'm going to double tap right where it says title. It might have to do it a couple of times. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give it a proper title. Pressure of a gas as a function of temperature. You could just say pressure versus temperature, whatever. Just give it a proper title. Then what you're going to want to do is go back up to that paintbrush, like so. Now, if you have clicked off of it like so when you hit the paintbrush, I'm not sure that it's going to do anything for you. So you got to make sure that you're tapped onto the graph itself because you're telling it to format it there. So again, if you've happened to tap off of it, no big deal. Just tap on it again and then go up to the paintbrush again. And then once you are up there, you're now going to want to do the style submenu, which is the second one there. We were on the chart. Now we want to do the style. We've got data and arrangement and so forth. We want the style that's there. And you want to make sure that the labels is clicked there. Not the general, not the grid lines. You can change all that if you want, but you want to go to the labels. Then you have to tell it that you want the X and Y axis names that are on. So click that on and click that on. By turning on the X-axis name, you now have a spot where you can put that. By putting on the Y-axis name, you now have a spot where you can do that. So now what you want to do is you want to click on the X and the Y axis spot and put the value in. Remember, up here, the one on the left always defaults as the X-axis. So that's always your X-axis, and that's always your Y-axis unless you tell it to change it. And there may be reasons for you to do that. But generally speaking, the one on the left is the X, the one on the right is the Y. So the X-axis is the temperature in Kelvin. So I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to double tap there where it says value axis. And I'm going to say that this is temperature, and then I'm going to give it the Kelvin label like so, right? And then up here on the Y-axis, remember that the Y-axis was the pressure in millimeters of mercury up there, mmHg. So I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to double tap on the value axis there, and I'm going to say that that's pressure. And then again, I'm going to put in millimeters of Hg like so. And now if we back up, we have a nice looking graph. But the program will do even more for you than this. It will tell you what the line of best fit is in the equation, and then you can use that to interpolate or extrapolate other information. So once again, be sure that your graph is tapped there. If you've tapped off of it, just be sure that you have selected it. And once again, we're going to go to our old friend, the paintbrush. There is the paintbrush. And then what you're going to do is you're going to change to the chart sub-menu. And then once you change to this chart submenu, you're going to want to look for trend lines. The problem is that trend lines is not showing. You're going to have to scroll down to find the trend lines. So again, if you're on arrange or data or style, you're not going to see it. If you do chart, that one will come up. You're going to have to go down to find it, and then make sure that the trend line is there. Right now it's selected as none, and so you want to click where it says none and change that to linear. And then you want to go back on that trend line, and now it's opened up a whole mess of possibilities for you, and you want to make sure that you give it the equation that is there. And now you have a graph that is fully graphed, fully labeled, and you have the equation of the graph that is there. So you can see here that the graph has the equation y equals 0.4004x plus 0.2877. If we then want to, we can go down and we can begin to do some math with that. So at the end of this, there is the equation that we just established in the other program there, that guy there. And again, that was because this was the equation here. It looks like y equals 0.404x plus 2877 there. But remember that my y-axis we established as the pressure, and my x-axis we established as the temperature. So all we've done is substituted in the pressure and temperature variables for y and x. And our equation now becomes P equals 0.4004 times T plus the 0.2877 that is there. So sample 1 says, what would the expected pressure be if the temperature was 1500 millimeters of mercury? So the pressure is my unknown, that's X, and the temperature, oh boy, I have mislabeled this. I'm so sorry. That should be 1500 Kelvin there. That is a typo. I will fix that on your version of things, but I'm not going to go back and re-record. My bad. So that should be, the temperature is 1500 Kelvin there. So if the temperature is 1500 Kelvin, then that goes in there for the temperature because it's X, and you just plugify in and come up with the proper answer here. Your calculator probably tells you that, but to 3 significant figures, you're going to get 601 that's there. Then it says in sample 2, what temperature should cause the system to have a pressure of 380 millimeters of mercury? So that would be your pressure, this is your temperature, and that is your X that's there. So if your pressure is the first part that is here, like so, then I'm going to go ahead and put the 380 in there. The temperature is my X, solve. And my equation tells me that I have 948.33, all those. But again, we want to change those to 3 significant figures. So we want to say that's 948 Kelvin. So it doesn't take too terribly long here to put in a set of data. And then as soon as that set of data is finished, then you can put it in, you can graph it, and then you can do some calculations pretty darn easily from there. Let's do one more set together, and then we'll call it a day here. So let's go over here to this graphing activity. It says graph the following data in numbers on your iPad and insert a copy of the graph that is here. All right, so I'm going to go back to numbers. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to create a new spreadsheet, just like I showed you before. I'm going to click anywhere over here, and I'm going to type in hours studied. And then over here, I'm going to put in test grade. All right. And now I want to put in my numbers, so I'm going to switch to the number one there. And it says 2, 5, 1, 0, 4, 2, and 3. And then the test grade over here would be 77, 92, 70, 63, 90, 75, and 84. So again, how long did that take us? A minute or so, and we've got all of the data in. So now what are we going to do? We're going to take this and we're going to highlight it, and we're going to click on the graph, and we're going to scroll down and click on that, and that now gives us that. We go up here to the format, and we're going to click on the title and then give it a title, and the title would be grade as a function of hours studied, like so. Make sure that I have the graph selected. Hit the paintbrush again. I'm going to hit style and give the axes names that's here. So this here is your hours studied. And then this one up here is your grade, like so. And then I'm going to click on that again and go back to that guy again, go back to my chart, scroll down, and then do trend lines, and then put in a linear trend line and go back and have it give me the equation. Again, look at that. What did that take us? 2 minutes or so to do? And then I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of that and make sure that I have that available. Then I'm going to go to here. Oh, maybe I'll just do it from here. Add in a screenshot like so. And let's see, can I crop that off? And crop that like so. And now I've got my graph there. And then here is my equation, like so. It says what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. So the slope is this line, this one there, so 6.0887. I'm assuming you know how to do that. It's 8th grade algebra. 6.0887, and the y-intercept is going to be this guy here, the 63.927. So that's 63.927. Then it says, according to this data, what should the approximate test grade be if the person studied 4.5 hours? So my equation is y equals 6.0887x plus 63.927. But remember that my y-axis is my grade, So my grade is 6.0887 times the hours that I studied plus 63.927. So if that's the case, I want the grade, and I studied for 4.5 hours. So my grade then is going to be equal to 6.0887 times 4.5 plus 63.927. You grab your calculator and you put your numbers into your calculator here. And let's see, I've got 6.0887 at 4.5, and then add in the 63.927. And my calculator tells me it's 91.32615, or to three significant figures, that would be 91.3. Last one down here, how many hours did a person study if their test grade was 86? So once again, this is my equation. So I'm going to paste that equation there, except that the grade was 86, so that goes there. So 86 is going to be equal to 6.0887 times x, or times the hours. That's really what you're looking for here, right? Plus 63.927. So you take your 86, you subtract your 63.927 and hit equal and divide by 6.0887. Looks like I got an answer of 3.625240, but again, to three significant figures, this looks like my answer is 3.63, because I'm going to round up because of that. So it's really pretty powerful, and it's pretty easy, and it doesn't take too terribly long once you get used to it. And that's how you use numbers to graph a linear regression plot and get an equation.